Hello and welcome to the studio where we paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales. Before we go and have a look at the palette, I want to draw your attention to the canvas. I know there's a few little marks on there which I will discuss in a minute, but it is a 50 by 60 centimetre canvas. It is a primed canvas, not a gessoed, and as I said before, you will see that it'll tell you on there whether they're gessoed or primed. So I've taken the liberty and put 2 coats of gesso on there, and this was actually bought in B&M, believe it or not, in the UK, which is a cheap shop, and I paid £2 for it. So you know, you don't need to buy expensive canvases. Anyway, let's have a look at the colours we're going to be using today. Now, don't be put off by the palette knives, because I am going to be using palette knives in this particular lesson today. But you can use a brush, so don't worry about that. If all you got is brushes, then that's fine. So I've got a bit of cadmium red, I got some Mars black, burnt umber, raw sienna, white. I've got a little bit of my thickening agent that you can buy in my store if you go to www.clive5art.co.uk, and I'll show you how to use that to thicken up your paints. And you can also see that I've got a different covering on my palette today. I normally use baking paper, but I've gone out and I bought some of this. This is the Reynolds Kitchen plastic coated freezer paper. Now, if you go into the stores and you'll find those little portable rip-off plasticky papery type of palettes that you can mix paint on, that's all it is this stuff. That's all it is. And I'll be doing another lesson on that, but you can buy this quite readily on eBay. It did come from the States, but it didn't take that long. I've ordered a couple of rolls and they were only £5 each. And you go buy those portable disposable palettes in the arts and crafts shop and you're going to pay £7-8. So it doesn't really work out. And I'm going to be using this when I'm actually doing pouring acrylics as well. Okay, without further ado, let's have a look at the canvas. I'm going to be playing on perspectives today. Now, my rule is not long enough to go from corner to corner. Ideally, you need a long rule and you need to find the centre of the canvas. And the quickest way you can do that is put a rule corner to corner, draw a line, and then draw another line from the opposite corners, and you'll get a centre point like that. That's the actual centre of my canvas. So what I've had to do in this case is I've had to go in 5 inches on the horizontal, down 5 inches on the vertical, and then I've had to make the square smaller actually. So I put my rule like that, put a line, put my rule like that, put a line, and there is my centre point. That is the centre of my canvas. Now that's going to play an important role on this actual painting. So we need to go down, I think it's 25. There we are. We'll put a line there. So I'm going to draw a line very, very lightly through the centre. Now it might look uneven on camera because the camera's on a slight angle. I'm just going to put a very, very fine line like that. That is my actual horizon line. So I need to come down now, roughly, I would say, 2 inches from that line, and then draw another line. There we are, 2 inches roughly. 1.5, 2 inches, doesn't matter. Depends where you want your particular line to go. And then we'll draw another fine line across there like that. So that is going to be that's my horizon line. That's where the horizon line is, and this is where my focal point is going to be. And I need something in the centre there, like that. We want to draw our eye in. We want to draw our eye in from that point. So the top of the thing that I've got going in here is going to be roughly 2 inches down from the top. There we go. 2 inches down from the top. So there's going to be that's going to be the top of what I'm going to be painting today. So we need to channel ourselves in. This is a full tutorial. If you want to skip along to the painting, then just feel free to do that. I'll put a little time code in where the painting starts. So if you want to pass all this, then please do that. Feel free, it's your video. Okay, so what do I want? So I want to come to the centre point. So I want about 4 inches. So roughly, if I put that 2 inches there, go down, roughly 4 inches. There's one little line. There's another little line. And then I'm going to draw a line then from the corner that I marked out in, and that. I'm going to do the same on this corner to that line, like that. Like that. Wow, look, we've already got a focal point going in. Now, we need to put a line there, we need to put a line there. We need to put a line there. How big is that? It's about 3 inches. So if we make it 3 inches, there we go, we make it 3 inches. And then we want to take the line up there like that. From there up. I'm going to do the same there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We need to put a line. Let's have a look at this. What are we going to do now? We need to go up 5 inches, see, maybe there. 5 inches. Now you can see why I don't do this on every video, because it takes a long time to plan these things out. I am using a reference photo, but I'm going quite what's the word I'm looking for? I need to make that a bit narrower actually. And then we need to bring something out there like that, and again on this side like that, and we need to bring lines out like that. I hope you can see that we're starting to get a little bit of perspective in place now, and this is what it's all about. So we need to find the center point roughly there, and we need to put something in there like that. I said I am following a reference photograph that I found on a royalty-free site. If you want to know what those royalty-free sites are, then please pop along and have a look in the descriptions, and I've listed all the royalty-free sites that I use. There we go. We've got something looking like something now. So that we need to bring something like an archway there, I think. This is just we need to get that down there, like that. So just checking that is actually needs to be a bit bigger. That needs to be a bit bigger, like that. That's where I'm going wrong. That's where I'm going wrong. Okay, so we need to maybe close that down a bit. It needs to be roughly the same size as that side. Get them to look reasonably the same. And maybe able to extend that, maybe we'll close that up a bit. We can play around with this now as we progress anyway. There we go. That'll be alright for now. Okay, so we need to put something in the background there like this. And then we need to bring something across there. Made a complete another mess of it, haven't I? No, that is just what you do. That's it. That's all you really need to do. You don't need to be able to draw, and I'm hoping that I'm showing you with that. The skill now is in actually in the painting of this. So we need now to just chuck some paint on the canvas. That's what we need to do. Now you can use one of these plasticky, arty, crafty oil painting palettes. I forgot how you hold it. There you go, like that. But I'm not going to use this because it's going to reflect too much light. See, it reflects on my cameras. But if you want to go and purchase one of them, you can, or you can just use some of that wax paper like I showed you. I'm just going to pick up a bog standard palette knife. You should clean your palette knives. Don't do what I do and don't clean them. You can use paint for this if you want to. So I'm going to get a bit of titanium white. I'm going to add a little bit of raw sienna to it. There you go. A little bit of raw sienna. I just want an off-white. Off-white. There we go. Let's get some more white in there. Oops. Raw sienna. Raw sienna. That's a nice colour, isn't it? I like that. Yes, I like that colour. Picking up a bit of my thickening agent, and watch this now. You can use just standard acrylics if you want to, but what you'll find is they get a little bit wishy-washy, and what my paint thickener does, it actually thickens it up into a heavy body consistency. So you don't need to waste money buying heavy body paints. There you go. You can see that's quite nice and thick, or you should be able to anyway. Okay. So I'm picking up a little roll of paint on the edge of my brush. Just picking up a roll of paint on the edge of my brush. And I'm just going to spread that on the canvas like this. Don't worry, there's a bit of canvas showing through. Makes no difference whatsoever. Get that in there like that. There you go. If you've never used a palette knife, have a go. I got loads of videos. I'll put them in the iCards. You can put bits of texture into this, and it's real fun to get into. Trust me, it really is. You can have so much fun with this, and you'll find that you're a lot looser as well when you paint in with a palette knife. What you can do is you can add just a little bit of white in if you want to put a few cloud effects in, and that's just straight titanium white. Just flick up a few little marks like that, and you got that essence of a cloud filled sky. As easy as that. So let's keep mixing some paint. Let's mix some more paint. This is a lot easier with a proper palette that you hold in your hand, because it just is. But I mean, if you haven't got one of them, it doesn't matter. You can do this quite nicely on a palette like this, and just using a little knob of my thickening agent again, just to thicken my paint up. There we are. There's a little bit of colour variation. Is a little bit different in the sky. It doesn't really matter if parts of it are like slightly thicker, darker than others, because skies are like that. So just use your artistic license, and again, just add in some colour onto the canvas like this. I've got a book over there that my good friend Jason Bowen gave me for Christmas last year, and it's from an artist that I used to watch as a child, going back to the 60s and 70s in the UK. I don't know if it was worldwide, I'm not sure, and I'll be talking about that book in just a second. But that's where I got my inspiration for palette knife work from. And the joy of palette knife work is that you can be so loose and free with this, and it's not so much then, you're not concentrating so much on details rather than textures as well. So it's a real good. Let's mix up a bit more paint. You'll see me mixing up a lot of paint during this process now. It just makes you freer, just frees you up, just frees up your artistic license. And this wax paper is working really well, I must say. I've never used it before, so it's quite interesting to see a little bit of my thickening agent that you can get on the website, as I've said. Just thickens up the paint enough, because you don't need to buy heavy body paints. Any student grade paint will do. The difference between a heavy body paint and a student's grade paint really is the amount of pigments they actually put in it. And this stuff is used in the paint industry anyway, so the less of that they put in, the thinner the paint. The more that they put in, the thicker the paint. And there's not a lot of difference between pigment quantities in pure artist paint, to be honest with you. It really isn't. Not in my experience. And I've got a wide knowledge of paint manufacturing under my belt. I've seen these things being made. That's why I make my own paints. When I do my own commission works, is the fact that I can control my mixtures of paint. I buy very little paint, in fact. I buy more paint for YouTube than I do for myself, because I make all my own paints for my own commissions. There we are. A little bit of white paint. Get a bit of white paint. Let's just move my palette up like that, so because I'm quite tight in the studio. A little roll of paint. A little roll of paint like that. And again, just put some clouds in like this. Just let it come off the palette knife. Little roll of paint, little roll of paint, little roll of paint. Just let it come off the palette knife. Always handy to have some good kitchen paper in the studio. So we get some more white. When you buy paints, always make sure you buy twice as much white and black, but mostly white. Try and buy twice as much white as you think you will need, because you're always going to use more white than any other colour. So I'm going into a darker colour. I'm using this raw sienna, and as I said, you can use a paintbrush if you want to. I'm using a bit of burnt umber into that now. There you go. So I've warmed it up a bit and darkened it up. Still using the same palette knife, adding a bit more of my thickening gel. I think what I'm going to do now is just clean our palette knife off like that. Just putting that one down. I'm going to pick up this one. This is like an oblong shape. I'm going to see if that works the way I want it to. Again, picking up a roll of paint. Picking up a roll of paint like that. And now I'm going to be looking at putting in some possible background shapes like this, just little square marks like that. You can see I add a little bit more burnt umber to one section. There you are. Pinch a bit of that paint over there like that. So you've got the same colour, you're just darkening it up just a touch. Roll of paint, have a look at your canvas. That's a nice colour. just burnt umber and white. Roll of paint. Roll of paint. There you go. Roll of paint, roll of paint. Just put some shadow colour in there like that. It'll all work out. And just move your little tool or your palette knife, or whatever I want to call it. Move it like that. There you go. Getting some more of this lighter one now. You want some. Play around. Bit of dark. Bringing that across it now. Again on the opposite edge now. So instead of doing that, I've done that. I just want to put a bit of shadow there, and there's a bit of shadow there. Going into some more burnt umber, touch of white. It's not easy to mix on this palette because the way I'm actually sitting, ideally I'd be using a proper artist palette, but I haven't got that luxury, so I'm just going to have to grin and bear it, as they say. Bit of colour, very thinly. Like that. Just get a bit more burnt umber. Just darkening up again. I want to go another tone. Hopefully you can see a possible cityscape starting to come together. I'm getting a bit of black into that mix now. I'm trying to get progressively darker as I come forward. And then going into some pure black now. I'm just picking up a few. Just putting a few bits and pieces into this water area, because this is water. This is a bridge, by the way, if you haven't worked it out already. This could be London, or it could be. It looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. Actually, perhaps we could do that. I don't know. There you go. I don't know what these buildings are. They just make them up. It doesn't really matter. The point is not to worry too much about it. It's more about having fun, relaxing, and being mindful with your breathing. I met one of my subscribers, one of you subscribers, the other week, called Pam. Hello, Pam. She came to visit Wales, and we had a nice long chat for about 2 hours with herself and her husband. So hello both, nice to see you. I thought I'd just say hi. Yeah, it was interesting. I don't get a chance to talk to people that follow me, and I found it quite interesting, in fact. So what I'm going to do now is just put a few little lines in like this, just to represent possibly some windows and things, just to catch the eye. There you go. And we had a nice long chat, and it was really lovely. And she'd bought some products off me, so I hope you are working with them, Pam. And I know you said that you have painted for quite a while, but it's important. Get into your art room, because she's got an art room now. Yes, she's converted the garage. Her husband has converted the garage for her into an art room. So that's absolutely brilliant, Pam. So you need to show me some paintings now that you're doing. So please do that. And I'm wishing you and your family all well. So I can just about see that. How is that looking? I think it's looking pretty good. Let me just zoom the one camera into the corner there so you can see it a little bit more. And you'll have to remind me to zoom my camera back out, because I do tend to forget these things. And I'm painting away, and I'm enjoying the stress-free painting, and I get carried away sometimes. I really do. Well, we can add a little bit more to this as it dries, so we can put a little bit more detail in. But at the moment, I'm quite happy with the way that looks. Now we're going to go over there. Now we've got to do this side. So let's just use this palette knife for a change, because it doesn't pay to use the same palette knife all the time, because you'll get different effects with it. So maybe I'll make this one just a little bit lighter, this side. And you can moisten down your canvas. If your paint's getting a bit dry, just use one of these little atomizer sprays. I sell these on the website, www.clive5art.co.uk. They're always handy to actually use to keep your paints from drying out if you're living in a warm country. And Pam said that to me. She said, you know, I'm going to Spain, she said, and she said, what about my acrylics? How are they going to dry out there? Well, it all depends on the atmosphere. Really, it's to do with the humidity and on all this type of stuff. And we don't know. It's hard to advise on how things are going to dry, because we don't know what the weather's continuing, the particular weather situation is going to be. But acrylics do tend to dry very quickly in the heat. So if you can keep your paints moist, by misting the tops of them down, and you're using a wet palette, which is one of these things, you've got a moisture underneath this, which is coming through the paper. It's going to stop the paint from drying out from underneath, and you've got a little bit of moisture coming down from the top, which is going to stop the paint from drying downwards. There we go. And that's all you can do, really. And make sure that you've got no fans blowing at you or something like that, because obviously airflow is another contributing factor to the way paints dry. So yeah, you've got to think about all these things. It's not always easy to work these things out, but you know, we've got to We've got to think about all these things. There we go. We just put a few different buildings here and there and here. I've got a scrap man coming round. He's going any old line, any old line. Cookers, washing machines, tumble dryers, batteries. Anything you got, I'll take it away. I can earn some money today. I have a lot of them coming around, actually. Don't know if you get that in America or other countries, but we do tend to get a lot of that in the UK. When I was a kid, they used to come round, rag and bone man, rag and bones, and they used to be too. They used to take the rags and any old bones, because we used to go down to the butchers and get our meat, and all the meat was on the bone in them days. And used to, any bones like that, we used to go out and give the rag and bone man. I don't know what we used to do with that, but there we go. I didn't care, because my rag and bone man used to give goldfish. So if you had good rags and things like that, I used to have a little goldfish for it. Yes, and I remember running in the house and going upstairs, opening the cupboards, stealing all my bits and pieces, and I stole some clothes. My mother took some of my mother's clothes out of the cupboard, and I went running to the rag and bone man, and he said, "Oh, this is good stuff." He said, "I'll give you 2 goldfish for that." So I had my 2 goldfish, and I went in the house, and my mother started screaming at me, and she had to run up the street and try and get her clothes back that I gave to the rag and bone man. And I had a smack for that. I really did. I had my heart. I had my bottom. I've had my bottom definitely tanned, as I used to say. We tanned you. Oof. My mother had hard hands. Being from London, she had hard hands. My mother. Oh dear. Yes, indeed. Definitely had hard hands, my mother. But the rag and bone man said, look, for his cheek, he said you can keep one of the goldfish. So I was okay. I was happy with that. So for my cheek, I had a goldfish. There you go. Rub it in. Okay, and just continue doing that and giving yourself some sort of skyline, really. Let's get some black there, following that line. A little bit more kitchen paper, and let's get some white. And all we need to do now is just put a little bit of white on these buildings, just to show there's some people in there. They could be offices, couldn't they? They could be offices and things. Who knows? Doesn't have to be that accurate. Just, this is more about a painting rather than being precise. It's an impression of a cityscape. It's an impression of buildings, and it's an impression of whatever we're going to be doing here. That's looking a bit bright, so we can put a little bit of darker colour on there in a second. But we'll see how it looks. We'll see how it looks as it dries. I'm not too worried about that at this particular moment in time. So I'm just going to get some black. Let's just move my palette knives out the way. I don't need any water because I don't think I'm going to be using brushes. I'm going to get some black. I'm going to get some of my cadmium red. I'm going to mix my black and red together. There you go. A little bit of my thickening agent, which you can obviously buy on the website. www.clive5art.co.uk. I'm changing my palette knife. I'm going for a slightly bigger one. And I'm going to blob some paint in like this. Yeah, my mother had hard hands. She really did. But I suppose we all do things when we were children. And we do it because we were children, I suppose. I don't know. You tell me what your experiences were. Leave a comment in the comment box below and just let me know if you did anything like that. My brother, I got two elder brothers, in fact, and the one brother used to make some plastic aircraft models, and I come home from school one day, and my friend used to live next door, and I was quite a naughty little boy, I think. My father never actually smacked me or anything, because my mother was the one I had to be careful of. My mother had hard hands, as I've just said, and so I had to be careful with my mum. Love her. She's been gone now nearly 2 years. But she lives on in my heart, so that's the main thing. Anyway, so he had these plastic aircraft, airfix models, and he used to make them out of glue and stuff like that, and I used to enjoy doing them myself, in actual fact. But yeah, I just wanted to know if they could fly. So I took the first one, and I opened the window and I threw it out. And it just tumbled, literally tumbled like this. Whoosh. Didn't break, it was okay. So I thought, oh, okay. But that was a really good way it actually went through the sky. It was like as if it's been shot down by a German aircraft. And or it could have been a British one shot down by a German aircraft, or it could have been a German one shot down by a British aircraft. I'm not taking sides. So I thought, oh, all right. So I rushed down. My mother said, "What are you doing now?" I said, "Nothing, ma'am. I'm all right. Honestly, I'm not doing anything, ma'am. I'm a good boy." So I proceeded to recover this aircraft from the garden where it landed and took it back upstairs into the bedroom, where I found my brother's airfix glue. So I proceeded to put some glue on the wings and over the engine, and I found, because my father used to smoke, I found my father's box of matches. And I thought, I wonder if this stuff will burn. So I took a match out the box, and if you don't do this, children, please don't do this at home. We could only get away with that in the 70s. Because there was no restrictions on what you could get your hands on in them days. I've got other stories to tell you, loads of them. And oops, I'm talking too much now. Let me just get this down there. There we are. I'm talking too much. Okay, that's okay. We'll work around that. So I proceeded to light the wings of this model aircraft that I took off my brother's shelf, and I got to be honest with you, it went up in a blaze of glory, to such a point that I nearly burnt my fingers as I threw it through the window gracefully like that, and it was tumbling down, and I was making the noises. It hit the ground and it melted into a mass. It was fantastic. And I thought, wow, I'm going to do that again. So I got another model. And I proceeded, and after about the sixth one, I got a bit bored, and I just left it like that. So there was several burnt carcasses of FX models on my garden. Now my mother likes her garden, and my brother liked his aeroplanes, because it took him years to collect these things and make them, and I don't think they were that expensive. And how old was I at the time? I don't know. Must have been about 9. What did I know? I was only a minor. What did I know? What did I know? Oh, I had another tanning. Yes, I did. Not only that, my brother knocked me about a little bit. And then my father came home from work and he shouted at me and grounded me because his garden had big burnt marks on it. So I wasn't popular very well for a while. I wasn't popular for a while. But there we go. Part of my childhood, I suppose. Right, we need to put something in the centre. So I do waffle a bit, I'm sorry, but you know, I think it's fun to mention certain things about our lives, and it's just nice to have you in the studio and share my life stories with you as we paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales. And hopefully you can see what I'm trying to accomplish here. There we go. Now what we're going to do is get that arch. So I'm just using the edge of the brush, edge of the palette knife at the moment, just to get me a sort of arch shape, and doing the same there. It's a little bit bigger than that one, isn't it? Oh wow, yeah, it is. So if we make that side just slightly bigger. I'm not looking for accuracy in this particular painting. It doesn't matter. I should have come a little bit more that way, but we could put a bit of shadow down there. It'll be okay. I'm not looking for 100% accuracy in this painting at all. To be honest with you, I'm not. Okay, so we've got something that looks like a structure coming in there. I'm going to mix up a bit more black and red, like this. I might just chuck a little bit of white in it, just to change the flavour up, and then get in a little bit of my thickening agent. www.clive5art.co.uk. Right. Well, the joys of this is that just sculpture out a bit. I know it looks dark and horrible at the moment, but it won't when we finished, because I'm going to have to let this dry anyway to be able to put another layer on it. And I need a cup of tea. Can't survive without a cup of tea in the studio. When you're doing something like this, just get used to just applying the paint with a palette knife. you can put the colour. I've got a colour that's going to go on top of this. I can put a colour on that. That arch is slightly out. Do I care? Not really, no I don't. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I'm going to clean my palette knife off. I'm going to get a smaller palette knife and I'm going to go back into this raw sienna, some white, raw sienna and white, a little bit of my thickening agent. And I'm not going to say it this time. I'm not going to say you can get on the website at www.fly5art.co.uk because that can be a bit boring if I say it every time. So, right. I'm just going to clean this palette off in a second. And I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. Okay, so we need to get some colour in there. Let's get some white. This is such a lovely way to paint. I find this very, 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 very therapeutic. I really do. And you can use a paintbrush on this if you want to. But I find doing something like this, you'll just get these. I got a bit of dragging a bit of red through there, look, and it's an unexpected colour there. Give it that burnt umber. Yes, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean down my palette and go make myself a cup of tea, and then we can concentrate on that area and we'll have a look at the water, put some more colour in there, maybe darken the sky off a touch, put some details in, and yes, it's going to come together, I'm sure. I hope it does. I'll be back like that. And I'm back. Yeah, so I made myself a nice cup of tea, as you can see. I always have a cup of tea in the studio. That's very important. And I'm just going to continue mixing these colours. I've cleaned my palette a little bit and I'm just going to get straight onto this, and I just want to talk a little bit about Nancy Kaminsky. Paint Along with Nancy. Paint Along with Nancy. That was in the 70s, 80s, I believe, and this is from HTV, which is a British TV channel in the day, because there was only 3 channels. Only 3. We had a choice of 3. So yeah, and this is a book that Jason Bowen have sent me for Christmas, which is really nice because that's how I learned to use a palette knife. And as I flicked through this book, there's a couple of paintings in here that I can remember doing when I was a child. So thank you very much, Nancy. I'm not sure if you're still alive, and I hope you are, because you're such a wonderful person and you've inspired me immensely throughout my painting career. And anyway, I just want to talk a little bit more about Nancy. Nancy actually said that if you've always wanted to paint and have never known where to start, or you've been painting for a while and hanging your paintings in a cupboard, then the books that she designed and the lessons she designed on HTV back in the 70s, it was a bit like a Bob Ross thing actually. And I followed along with this series, and I've also had some books, and as I said, Jason Bowen was kind enough to actually give me a couple of books for Christmas, and most likely you have become confused and frustrated by the non-teachers who tell you to paint as you feel or what you feel. As a matter of fact, there was a teacher who shall be nameless, she said, who had students paint in circles until something happened. And then I understand that they're still painting circles. She also said, as a result of having gone through that process herself, she had evolved common sense theory of painting based on the discipline right from the start. And that's what I tried to show as well, especially in painting such as this. It's more about the discipline of painting. And these paintings are designed to get you going, playing around with colours, playing around with perspectives, and not to be hung up on precise details, which is a lot of teachers actually try to do that for you. So after all, there are rules for everything we do in life. This is very, very similar to driving, music, dancing, and all those other things. But when she was learning to paint, drawing was stressed constantly. She was actually, the colours were muddy, and it took years for her and many artists to actually learn colour and theory of colour. And that was mostly trial and error, and produced fairly acceptable painting. But for too much drawing, it inhibits the painting. This is why I tried to say to you that steer away from the drawing if you can, and just get some paint on that canvas. That's what I try to enthuse. And these are lessons that I've learned from people like Nancy Komininsky, and these things I'm trying to show to you as well. So as I said, for too much drawing, it can inhibit that painting. And in a painting, it's colour that is important. That's the most important thing, is colour. When you have good tonal values, and very little drawing is required and should be reduced to its basic essentials. And she said that in the introduction of her book. Starting with the premise, she devised a unique and instantly productive system in colour mixing by colour formulas in exact amounts. Like baking a cake, just follow the recipe. You will notice in paintings, in the pictures that she produced, and if you were lucky enough to get this book, you will have seen that the Paint Along with Nancy Komininsky television series, which was in the 70s, 80s, how the stroke-by-stroke method that she used and the methodical approach that she used in painting is not only just beautiful, logical, but it's painless as well. But I promise you, painting, you can get a painting done in your very first attempt, and that's what I try to do as well. I've done a lot of oil paintings in my time, and without those people, then I wouldn't be here doing lessons like this. And I quite enjoy just splotching paint about. I'm not bothered about whether that's bigger than that, or that doesn't look right and it's not anatomically correct, and it's not about that. It's about colour. It's about putting this on the wall and standing back and looking at it and thinking, yeah, I can see what that is. It's a painting of a bridge, and that's what basically what we're trying to accomplish here is not too much about whether it looks anatomically correct, if there's such a word as for a bridge, but whether it works as a painting. And that's what we need to concentrate on, and using a lot of black, a lot of grey colours in a painting can work really well as well. So just play with colour. Just don't worry about it. You just need to get this to look like a bridge, representing a bridge. That's what you need to do. It's just trying to get that representation of, this is a bridge at the end of the day. And And that's all we're trying to do. Is we just try to, as an artist, we just try to create an illusion of something. That's all we're trying to do. Is just trying to create an illusion that there is something there. You know, that's the most important thing. That's all we're trying to do, is just create that illusion that, you know, this is a bridge, and all we want to do is show a representation of a bridge at the end of the day. That's all we're trying to do. So just using little bits of white and black, and just, you know, it's not going to go to mud. The worst thing you're going to do with a lot of this is it's just going to look grey. And, well, a lot of cityscapes and things like that do look a bit grey, don't they? I think they do. I think they do. Of course they do. There we go. Just dragging down. Just taking a little bit of paint off there because it was a bit thick, so all I'm doing is just pulling the paint back like that. There we go. Getting a bit of this grey colour to pull through like that. On this side, I'm just going to go a little bit darker, bordering more on black than anything. Getting a little roll of paint on my brush and on my palette knife. I'm trying to keep, it's a bit awkward, it's sitting on an angle that I'm sitting on. Just picking up a little bit of white. Get a bit of this black now to start off. Oh, we made a big boo-boo there. Right, let's get a brush very quickly. I need to rectify that before it dries. I need a little short flat. Okay, you didn't do that mistake, so I can live with that, as I said. most of my paintings go in a bin, and I was telling Pam about that, and she was quite shocked actually that I'd bin a lot of my work, because these are just lessons. These are just to give you ideas, to help you paint away that stress of everyday life in Wales. And that's all I try to do, really. That's all I try to do. I'm sitting on an angle, and it's a bit difficult when you're sitting on an angle to get a straight line, because I should be sitting straight onto it like that. And if I did that, I'd get in shot the camera. And I don't want to get in shot the camera. Because these lines might look a little bit winky wonky on the camera, because the camera's at an angle as well. So I don't know if they do look straight. I'm not sure if they do look straight or not, but they are straight, trust me. Well, sort of. Do I care? No, not really. So right, we need to get some more white on my palette. Where did I put my white? I need to get a bit more white on my palette. There you go. Just get a little bit of thickening agent to it. There you are. Just trying to get some colour. It's a good thing about having a ground on the canvas, which is a colour that I add in the brush, in actual fact, because when I put the gesso on the canvas, it wasn't pure white. It's an off-white. So that was always handy. Because you don't have to cover the entire canvas up then. That's the good thing. So I'm just going to get some white paint. Let's check the angle of this brush. Just get that line to go down there like that. I'm just going to get a little roll of paint on the edge of that, and I'm just going to get some lines. Yeah, so it's starting to converse. Starting to converse. Excuse me if my head is slightly into shot. I need to get some thickening agent into this white. It's easy to control when it's thick. I don't know if you can see that, maybe you can't, but I'm going to do the same this side now. I've run out of kitchen paper. Right, I'm just going to get some of my thickening agent into my cadmium red. And now I'm going to put a little bit of colour into this bridge. Like that. Again, that's that side. You can see that black and red go really well together. In fact, I just want a bit of colour in like that. A bit of red there. Bit of red across the top, like that. A bit there. I wonder how many people that have actually noticed I've changed my top. Have you noticed I've changed my shirt? Observation is the key. It really is. Observation is the key. Okay, so I didn't say anything straight away because I just wanted to know if anybody'd actually leave a comment and say, yeah, I noticed you changed your shirt. What day is that? It's the same day. I just went in the ironing and I noticed that my wife had done the ironing, so I thought, well, I can put my new shirt on now. But my nice clean shirt, I should say, not a new shirt. I just mix a bit of colour up. There you go. Put a bit of black around. Get on the tip of your palette knife and put a bit of black around there like that, and just paint some stone things like that, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And get your Try not to spoil it like I am. It doesn't matter. If it's rough, it's rough. I don't stand on ceremonies like that. Just put a few different bits and pieces in like that. There you go. It'll all work itself out now. There you go. Right. What do I need to do now? I need to get some more kitchen paper. Okay, so I'm just going to get some just white on this palette knife, and I'm going to put some lines out like that. Just like it could be some cables holding this bridge up or something. We need to put some lines, obviously this side now. They have to be the same amount. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's looking. I don't know. Let's get some black just on the. I'm going to use the edge of this now. I just want to. Come down like that. And then come down this side. This is more about painting for stress relief rather than painting for accuracy, and it doesn't really matter. I've done something very similar to this in the past, and they sell. It depends on what people want to buy, really. You know, you can. You are the artist. You are the artist. It's what you see in your painting that sells. And if people don't like your style of work, people don't like your style of lessons, if you're a YouTuber like this, then don't worry about what they think. Especially with art, it's more about what you perceive as an artist. It's more about that than anything else. There you go. So when I paint, I paint to relax. I paint for fun. I paint just to splodge paint on the canvas, and hopefully I'll stand back and go, yeah, I've got a result today. Sometimes I stand back and think, oh no, I'm not too sure about that one, but you know, that's what it's all about, really. It's there's no good and bad about art, not in my experience, and I don't judge myself on that. I try to do as best I can, but as we all, but I don't paint for anybody really other than myself, which is good, and that's what I try to instill on yourselves. If you're painting for therapy, then why stress about what it looks like? What have you done at the end of the day? Well, you've spent a bit of time, a bit of money on different things, and that's all it really comes into. So what we can do now is, I'm not going to do the palette knife anymore. I'm going to clean my palette knives off in a minute. I'm just going to get a paintbrush now. And I'm just going to use the paint that I got on here. Because what I want to do now is put a few people maybe walking on this bridge. There you go. And it just marks. Just marks. That's all it is. Marks. Does it have to be accurate? Well, no. All you're trying to do is, like I've said, is a representation of stuff. You know. This woman might have a red dress on or something. Let me have a look. Yeah. Does that look like something? I think it does. Let's get some more black paint. Loose. That's all it is, loose. Old Lowry painted matchstick men and matchstick cats and dogs. Did he worry about whether they were anatomically correct? Did he, you know, at the end of the day, it's about representation and painting and trying to do that type of thing rather than anything else. Now what we need to do, I'm alright, I'm not, you could put as many people into this as you want, really. You know, you could put a couple more walking on the bridge and things like that. But I mean, just little implications that there's something going on. You know, when you stand back, trust me, it'll look much better. I hope it does. Okay, so what am I going to do now? I'm going to get some more white. Let's use the last bit of my thickening agent, which you can buy on the website www.artlife.co.uk. And I've had fun today, so I'm going to go from this centre line now. I'm just going to come out like that. It's connecting down there somewhere. Doesn't matter where it goes, I don't care where it goes. There's another one. Picked up a bit of that paint now as I go on through. There you go. It's my representation of, could be the Golden Gate Bridge, it could be anything really, couldn't it? Have a go at that. It's fun. It really is. I made a little bit of mistake, but that is slightly bigger than that. I don't mind. I really don't mind, and I mean that. When I say this, I don't mind. I don't mind. So have a go. Grab yourself a palette knife, and don't forget, check Nancy Komeninski out on YouTube. There should be some videos out there. I'm sure there are. And that's what's inspired me to do this today, is Blast from the Past. So please click the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Just have fun. That's all it is. Have fun and paint a scene with some palette knife and some acrylic paint, and just go for it. Just have fun and let yourself loose.